Well, my name is Dr. Raman Gokal. I'm a retired physician, a nephrologist. That means a specialist in treatment and management of kidney disease and dialysis, transplantation. And I'm also the emeritus professor of medicine. All of these were at the University of Manchester in Manchester, United Kingdom. So the clinical manifestation of aging is related to inflammation because of a loss of the production at the mitochondrial level, energy, ATP production, the hydrogen ions that are released when the hydrogen water come apart. The hydrogen ions are the best antioxidants. And the oxygen, the one molecule combines with another, forms O2, which is then also utilized for the same process. We think we get all our oxygen from the air. No, some of it comes from the water. It's important, therefore, to have good water going into your cells. The Gerald Pollack has proposed a mechanism whereby water going into the cells then forms a gel, crystalline matrix. It's a gel between liquid and solid. And he calls this the fourth phase of water. We have a solid phase, we have a liquid phase, and we have a steam phase. So those three. But in the cell, structured water, he says, is the fourth phase, which is a gel phase of water. And that's an important, it's like a sheet, it's hydrogen bonded. And we know that, for instance, water in a structured form, which is devoid of all the bad things, which is also energetically charged in a hexagonal lattice form, maybe 4 to 6 units of water molecules bonded by hydrogen bonds into one unit. And these then enter into the cell. The hexagonal nature, which is also between the liquid and solid, is a crystalline structure. Everything in nature is that way, works that way, and is optimized by getting water into the structured state. All diseases of the modern era are related to dehydration, chronic inflammation, and not being able to get rid of the toxins that are formed in our cells and out through the 4 methods that I said: perspiration, urination, breathing, and elimination. They all need water. Structured water is water that exists in nature. Structured water is that which is produced through the water cycle in nature. Nature's water produces, you have the water evaporating from the oceans and rivers and then coming down in rain. Then it flows along riverbeds, and it flows, and in the process of flowing, it's eddying, it's hitting obstruction, it turns on itself. And that double vortex process produces the structured water. The important thing about water is that if you remove impurities by, say, filtration or reverse osmosis and these processes, water retains memory. Now that is so important for it to remain and maintain the memory of the junk that was in it. Structuring water removes that energetic and cleanses it. So you are no longer, the elements may still be there, but they are energetically removed. It does not maintain the charge. that is so critical. So we have structured water not only forming these hexagonal crystalline structures of say 4 to 6 units, but also is energetically cleaned up. The trouble is that nowadays a lot of water comes from reservoirs, recycled water, which is stagnant water. In nature, water is not stagnant. And whenever you have stagnant, you get the breakdown of the structured unit and you get imbibement of the molecules which are entrapped by the water to try and maintain its integrity, but the germs and viruses, etc., can get in and put their imprint. And we know that German scientists have said that the angle of the water crystals, with their crystalline in nature, in dirty water, they are 90 degrees, but in clean structured water, they become 60 degrees. And one can look at gas discharge visualization aspects, and one can see the difference between structured and unstructured water. The kidney has very important functions. First of all, it is able to get rid of toxic waste products produced by the body's metabolism. And to get rid of the toxic matter, it needs water. Water is a carrier, binds these things and pushes them out. So that's a very important function. It also maintains adequate and appropriate pH, that's the acid-base balance, in a very narrow window. And it's helped by the respiratory system in achieving this. And it also has a function of producing very important hormones like erythropoietin, renin, blood pressure control. So you can see that the kidney is an important organ in maintaining what we call in medical terms, the homeostasis, the balance. Balance meaning if you are out of balance or in imbalance, your body goes out of whack. And the body tries its level best to get you back into homeostasis so as to avoid dis-ease and disease. So the kidney is important. You know, the kidney filters from the blood about 80 liters of fluid into the kidney, and you pee out about 2 liters a day. That's the urine. So it is able to concentrate and fix all these things. So when kidneys fail for whatever reason, diabetes is the commonest cause, but there are inflammation and so forth, then the ability to filter that blood and excrete the impurities, maintain pH balance, hormonal functions, and I forgot to mention in hormonal function, vitamin D function, extremely important. Then the impurities build up and you are said to be in renal failure. Now, when your function drops from 100% that you and I would have down to 5 to 10%, life is in danger. So I know the water is pure, it's biologically pure, it's bacteriologically pure, and adjusted to the proper pH and the electrolytes that are required. But nephrologists and dialysis experts will say that water is still not quite right. There is something, inverted commas, missing. And I had the thought that maybe introducing structured water into the dialysis fluids and pumped into the could have dramatic results. Because no matter what we would say, the water for dialysis, as pure as it is still non-structured. And my thought was that yes, if this could be done on the dialysis, on clinical trials, then that could prove the value of structured water in managing these patients. And it's a simple device to attach the structured water unit into the outlet valve of the water supply and into the patient. Nothing complicated. So that's the study at a human level. The other aspect is that the colleagues in the university, Dr. Mitra and others, at the University of Manchester in the UK also have an in vitro model. The in vitro model means looking at cellular structure, red cells, also addresses two aspects. It's looking at the aquaporin state and how water, structured water compared to ordinary dialysis water can be compared in its access to the aquaporin model and the aquaporin expression, gene expression as we call it, as well as they have models to look at the mitochondrial function in the cell. And I mentioned the mitochondrial in terms of all the ATP generation, that's the energy generation, oxidative and free radical removal. So the studies that I want to have fulfilled and in Manchester with the colleagues is to see first the in vitro, to see how structured water behaves in the laboratory. And then a clinical trial where we would have one group of patients on one unit, unit meaning a dialysis unit with 30, 40 patients with structured water, and a comparative group in another dialysis unit dialyzing ordinarily no change and not using structured water. So the only thing that will have changed between the two groups of patients would be the structured water in the study group. And we'll look at the outcomes after 3 months or so in terms of the usual parameters that we measure, the blood picture, the well-being. We can have a questionnaire to see how well they feel. All these aspects are going to be important in ascertaining the value of structured water in this dialysis patient. And for me, the wonder would be that these patients who do not pass any urine, can you imagine the joy if after treatment with the structured water on dialysis, they start passing urine? Wouldn't that be a wonder? And I think whatever the results, and we hope that the results are very positive, it will have implication for management of disorders of all sorts that are based on chronic inflammation and dehydration.